Hey, how you doing? Hope you're having a great day. So if you're like me, you've probably, if you're tuning into this channel, you're watching this video, you probably have an interest in cycling. You may have an interest in gravel, road racing, mountain biking, whatever your flavor is. But if you're in my stage of life, you also probably have young kids, got a lot of competing priorities, a job, a house you got to pay for, food you got to put on the table. And you might think to yourself, I want to go out and try to make a race work and spend a lot of time getting ready for a race, or spending some of your spare time that you have available to you getting ready for a race, for a lot of different reasons. But you start looking at races, you start looking at courses that you want to do, and you think they're either long or they're arduous, or maybe they don't seem like there's something that your fitness level is at, or that you don't understand cycling equipment well enough to feel like you can comfortably handle that race and handle all the things that it might throw at you, both including the riding with other people as well as getting your bike prepared. So if you're in that stage of life, if maybe you're new to cycling, you're coming at it, in your mid-30s, which is about where I'm at, and you don't have a lot of experience in racing, you haven't done it before, but you're thinking about doing it now and you want to get into it, this video series will probably be good for you. My goal is to really talk through what my plan is to get through this race. So as I'm taping this, my race is this weekend, so about 4 days from now. This may go out after, depends on when I get it finished. But if you're thinking about doing a race, kind of like I have been planning since the beginning of the year, then this might help you get an idea of how to really go from zero to completing your first race. So this is my first official gravel race I've done. It's not going to be the first time I've ridden with other people. I've done a lot, several group rides, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But this will be my first formal race. And I had a lot of goals and aspirations for things I wanted to get out of this race and things I wanted to do at this race. But life has a way of changing your plans. And that's why I think this will actually be more helpful than just looking at some guides, because I'm going to take the information that I've learned, some of the books I've read, videos I've watched, practice I've done out on the road, and also some of the curveballs that got thrown at me in my training process, and really try to take all that together and show you how I planned for this race even when things didn't quite go the way that I wanted them to. So let's get started. So the first thing I want to talk about is basically give you the real TLDR. Or TLDR. If you're already getting bored and you want to move on to another video, here's a summation of the whole thing. So there's really three main components to planning for a race, especially if you're like me and you're on a very limited amount of time. You have a set amount of time you can dedicate each week to training and planning. I'm probably around about 4 or 5 hours of training, and then I'm a bike enthusiast, so I'm going to be staring at bikes anyways, so I spend an inordinate amount of time doing gear planning, but it's neither here nor there. So but if you've got a certain amount of time you want to dedicate to training, and you want to really try to focus that in on achieving a specific goal, a race can be a really good way of doing that, because it will force you to look at the obstacle, the course, what it's going to demand of you and your gear, and start thinking about how you solve those problems. And if you're a big problem solver guy like me, you like to have a problem, you like to have something you can really chew on, especially when it's something you're really passionate about, like cycling. A race can be a really good answer to that question. And there's three components that you want to try to really focus on when it comes to running a race. One is your lifestyle. So what is your lifestyle? What can you dedicate to this race, and how much in the spectrum of your whole life does this race really matter to you? If you're a young guy who's trying to train to get into an amateur team, or maybe even trying to train to prove yourself to getting onto a pro team, it may mean a lot. And so it may be worth 20 hours a week, 30 hours a week of training and planning and effort and work to try to get that, to really win a first place finish in a race. If you're a guy like me and you're just really trying to focus on improving your health and trying to be the best person you can for your family, it's going to be a much lower priority, because your first priority is taking care of your family, and taking care of your body is obviously on that list, but it's not number one. It can't be. But it's high up there, so you want to spend some time on it. Number two is going to be your fitness. So how do you take that limited time? So you've gone through your lifestyle. How do you take that time you're willing to dedicate each week and use it as efficiently as possible? And that's going to be your fitness and your training. Your next, number three, is going to be your equipment. So looking at the course that you need to get through and then trying to figure out what you have available to you. So what bike you have, what gear you have, and then what budget you have to make up the shortfall. So if you don't have everything you need, you might look at a race and realize, well, I've got the bike, but then I don't have this kit. I need this thing. So can you afford to buy that? How can you do that cheaply? Because cycling is an expensive hobby. You can spend lots of money on it. So how do you do that? How do you make sure that you're covering all your bases inside of whatever budget you have? You're not spending too much money to accomplish that goal. So those are the real big three items, and I want to go through all three of them. And we'll start with lifestyle, and we'll get going on that.